Welcome to the inaugural edition of the North Shore Arts Video Journal. My name is Terry Canelli-Aramo, and I'm the director of Eventide Gallery at Periwinkle's Restaurant in Essex, Mass. And I'll be back in a moment to take you on a tour.
Thanks, Terry. Hi, everyone. I'm Kate Hanlon, a printmaker in Boxford. You're watching the inaugural North Shore Arts Video Journal. Welcome. This is the first of a series of programs highlighting the art scene on Boston's North Shore. We have an interesting lineup, including a visit with Terry Canelli-Aramo, who will provide us a tour of her Eventide Gallery, which is located at Periwinkle's Restaurant in Essex. Following Terry, we'll visit with longtime and highly respected bearskin neck artist John Caggiano, who will tell us about his studio and his career in art. Then it's over to the Rocky Neck Art Colony in Gloucester, where Suzanne Gilbert-Lee will relate the rich history of the colony and tell us how her organization keeps that tradition alive. And for something different, I'll be back to show you a look at my sculptured rocking horse. So stay tuned, everyone.
One of the unique things about Eventide Gallery is that we are not a traditional gallery in the sense of a gallery standing alone by itself. Being within Periwinkle's Restaurant allows us a different take on how people can view our art by our artists and their interest in the arts. They're more than welcome to go throughout the restaurant and the bar to look at different art while they're here having dinner or having lunch. And very often what people will do is they'll come in and they'll remark about how wonderful it is to see different art by local New England artists that is available for purchase here at Eventide Gallery at Periwinkle's Restaurant. This is the lobby area of Eventide Gallery at Periwinkle's Restaurant. The wonderful thing about having the gallery within the restaurant is very often when people come to dine, they'll view the art and sometimes impulsively they know that a piece stands out to them and they have to purchase that piece and own it for their walls. On other occasions, people will come in to dine and they'll look at a painting and they may come back over a few months to have dinner here or to have lunch here, and they keep seeing a painting by a certain artist or by, a certain theme, something that strikes them, and then they've decided that they would love to have that painting for their wall. So it really gives people the opportunity to make a purchase in time or to make a purchase when they first see the painting, knowing that that piece should belong to them. I myself am a tonalist painter. Tonalism is based more on emotion and the poetry of painting than specific light, such as when you are a plein air painter and you're going out looking for values and shapes. With tonalism, what you do is you try to capture the emotion and the feeling by using dark, subtle hues of color. You start with a dark base and you wipe away and then you slowly bring the light forward. It's a very unique process. It's a very old world process. And George Inness was our country's, you could say he was our country's founding tonalist painter. And he was from Medford, Massachusetts. And Alexander Wyant was another tonalist painter who brought that movement to the forefront. I love art, and I'm an advocate of art and of the painters and the artists that come to the area. And I am involved in the annual Essex Wet Paint Day and auction where artists come to the area and paint, and then we auction their works off. We have a live auction and a silent auction, and this year we're really excited to be part of the Cape Ann plein air auction, which will be a fabulous week in October of painters coming from all over. They'll be juried in to paint in Cape Ann, but Essex will be part of that. Manchester by the Sea will be doing a quick draw. They will be part of that. And Cogswell Grant and Beauport will be part of it. There'll be demonstrations by various artists, and it is just going to be a phenomenal week of artists coming together to this beautiful area, to this unique area of Cape Ann, that there's no other place like it in the country. Thank you for visiting, and we are located at 74 Main Street on the Causeway in Essex, next to the beautiful old Essex Shipbuilding Historical Museum, and please join us. We are open every day from 11:30 to 10.
Now it's off to Bearskin Neck in Rockport to visit with John Caggiano. John has been a fixture on Rocky Neck for decades and is one of Rockport's most well-respected and famous artists.
Hi, I'm John Caggiano. Welcome to my gallery. It's here in Rockport, Massachusetts. I've been here for 37 years in business, and I was originally from Brooklyn, New York, in case you can't tell from the accent. This is an old art colony, obviously. I'm one of the senior members, you might say, in the art colony itself. There's a Rockport Art Association, of which I am a member. I used to be president. And my art tends to speak for itself, but I will give you a tour of the gallery and show you around. So let me tell you a little bit about my style. I usually describe it as impressionistic realism. And this would be an example of how I'm painting today. This is a scene in New Hope, PA, Washington's Crossing. I paint mostly with brushes and some palette knife. I like color, obviously. As you look around, you'll see that. And I love light and shadow. This is an example of my palette knife work. I painted in palette knife, strictly in palette knife, for 16 years. I went from brushes to palette knife. And then I felt the need for change, and I wanted a smoother look. And so I went to things like this. I've since gone back to combining palette knife and brush work. This was painted in Vermont. It's called Down a Country Road. It's an old bond that I just happened upon. This painting, Meandering River, was painted in Lowell, Vermont. That's pretty close to the Canadian border. I was with a couple of painting buddies at that time. It was a nice day, great experience. It was obviously autumn. And I subsequently entered this painting in the Bryan Memorial Gallery Land and Light Show. It's an annual show in Jeffersonville. And I was pleased and honored to receive the Alden Bryan gold medal and grand prize for the painting. Vermont is one of my favorite places to paint. I paint all over the country, and especially when I do plein air events, which are juried events where you have approximately 30 artists juried into it by a national juror, and then you paint for 4 days, let's say, and then submit a number of works for competition and prize money. And then there's usually a large gala where there's sales of work. Doing these events is an excuse for me to travel quite a bit to places that I haven't been to, and over the years they've become even more important for me and to me because I have met such wonderful people, both hosts who house us and other artist friends who I now see on a regular basis through these events. The camaraderie is very important. It's a very solitary profession, so any chance you get to be with others is a plus. The other part is here in the gallery that I run and have help with, and I do studio work here. Another example of my work is this landscape that's barely 2 weeks old. It was interesting. I had seen this material several years ago and never got a chance to paint it. It's in Maryland, in eastern Maryland. These are belted Galloways. They're beautiful cows. So this was done during the Eastern Plein Air Festival in Maryland, where I was a couple weeks ago. And this was one of my competition pieces. Plein air, by the way, means outdoor painting. Here in New England, we've done it for many, many years, hundreds of years actually. Now it's the fancy word, plein air. These festivals are held throughout the country. This is the best in the nation, and they are generally combined of 30 juried artists, and there's a competition, the prize money, a big gala where you sell your work, and that's generally the outline of what a plein air event is. You're juried in by a national juror as well. In fact, Cape Ann is having their first plein air event ever this year, 2016, and it will encompass the communities of Rockport, Gloucester, Manchester by the Sea, and Essex. I've been helping them out since I do about a dozen of these a year across the country. And it's a lot of work, but they've gotten it down pretty well now, and they're going towards their deadline. And the festival will be held October 10th to the 16th of this year. Thanks for visiting the gallery. Please visit again when you're in Rockport. I'm at the end of Bearskin Neck at number 66, and I'd love to have you here to see my work and to just visit our beautiful town.
Our next visit is with Susan Gilbert Lee at the Rocky Neck Art Colony in Gloucester.
Hi there, my name is Suzanne Gilbert Lee, and I'm the Executive Director for the Rocky Neck Art Colony, which is a nonprofit organization located on Rocky Neck in Gloucester, Massachusetts. The Rocky Neck Art Colony is a nonprofit organization that runs cultural and artistic programming here in this neighborhood, and we also do partnerships across the city of Gloucester. We run this building, which is the Cultural Center on Rocky Neck, which hosts exhibits and cultural events. We also have the Gedman Artist Residency that invites 4 artists each year for a month-long residency that's awarded to them. And then we also we oversee a cooperative gallery of our artist members called Gallery 53. There's about 30 members who show in there, and it's a seasonal gallery open from May through October. The Rocky Neck Art Colony is one of the oldest working art colonies in America. Continuously, artists have come here since the 1850s to live and work in this beautiful setting. The Rocky Neck is a peninsula that juts out into the Gloucester Harbor. So we're surrounded by water here. There's beautiful vistas of the ocean and the harbor and just the surrounding landscape. And it's just been kind of a place for a lot of great American artists to come and live and work. There's been just a host of American Impressionists who have come to the area, but also modernists as well. Milton Avery, Stuart Davis, Adolph Gottlieb all came to Rocky Neck to spend time to paint and work and live here, but also as well as Frank Duveneck and Frederick Mohawk, who are some of the kind of landmark landscape, plein air American Impressionist painters. Also Winslow Homer and Edward Hopper as well. So it's a very rich, culturally artistic neighborhood that just really is continuing on today, and that's part of what the work of the Rocky Neck Art Colony organization is doing, is promoting the area and keeping it a place where artists can live and work, contemporary artists working in all sorts of media and genre. The Rocky Neck Art Colony has produced a book called Rocky Neck Art Colony, 1850 to 1950, and it was written by Judith Curtis, and this is the history of the oldest working art colony in America, or one of them. It's a beautiful book. It has a lot of images in it of some of the different painters I mentioned, Frank Duveneck, Metcalf, Winslow Homer, A.W. Bueller, the different artists that came here and worked and lived in Rocky Neck and just throughout Gloucester, really. All of the Cape Ann area was a big mecca for Boston and New York artists to come up during the summers to paint, and that did start in the 1850s and continues today. We still have people who want to live and work here because there's such a rich, abundant community of artists today. One of the other resources for the history of Rocky Neck is you can go to the RockyNeckArtColony.org website, and under programs is the Rocky Neck Art Trail. It's based on the book by Judith Curtis, and it has different sites throughout the neighborhood that you can use a walking tour map to go and visit and see those sites today, where some of the studios of some of these great painters were, some of the vistas that they painted, so you can compare the artwork from the past to what the present day neighborhood looks like now. One of the other wonderful things about the Rocky Neck Art Colony book is that it also includes information about several of the women artists who also historically came to the Rocky Neck Art Colony area to live, work, and paint. Sally Mann, who was an artist who was Milton Avery's wife, Nell Blaine, Jane Peterson, who was an impressionist landscape painter, and Cecilia Bow, who did portraiture, but she lived on Eastern Point, but that's just around the corner from Rocky Neck. These were all very important American female artists who really made their mark coming to Rocky Neck and Gloucester to paint and work and expand their artistic skills. Here at the Rocky Neck Art Colony, the 501c3 nonprofit that we are today, we try and foster contemporary artwork happening here now in Gloucester, on Cape Ann, in Rocky Neck. And we're really following the footsteps and the legacy of those artists who used to come here to Rocky Neck to paint, because they were always kind of pushing the boundaries. The American Impressionists, that was a new art form at the time that people were really embracing and saying they were going to have impressionistic, representations of the landscape around them. And then the modernists also came here, so they were also pushing boundaries. Stuart Davis, Milton Avery, they were painting in ways and doing different things that people hadn't seen before. So that's what we're still trying to foster and honor today here on Rocky Neck, is the artists that live and work here who are not necessarily doing traditional forms, but still pushing boundaries and expanding the scope of what art can be and do and what it has to say. The Cultural Center here at Rocky Neck is open year-round, Thursdays through Sundays, and we have rotating exhibits every about 6 weeks. The Gallery 53 on Rocky Neck, which is an artist cooperative that's run by our members, is a seasonal gallery open from May through October. And then the Gettleman Artist Residency is the residents are awarded month-long stays between May and October as well. So we do have some seasonal offerings, but we also stay open here at the Cultural Center around year-round. And we don't just have exhibits, we also have a lot of events here. Different organizations around the city also host their events here as well. We host some events for the Gloucester Writers Center, some small theater, we have lectures and book launches here as well. So there's we also have a music series, so there's a lot going on here at the center year-round.
Hi, it's Kate again. Well, I wanted to share this special project that I made when my son was younger. It's a hand-carved Victorian-style rocking horse, and it actually works. It's on a swing arm stand. It's carved out of wood, and it has real leather saddle and bridle, removable bridle, and real horse hair, mane and tail. And no horses were harmed in the making of this rocking horse. So let me tell you how I made it. I started with the head. The head is made out of basswood. Basswood is the easiest wood there is to carve, and it holds the most detail. It's easy to carve detail. The rest of the body of the horse is made of Spanish cedar, which was the only wood I could find at the time that was 4 inches thick. You need really thick pieces to make this horse. After I got the neck and the head joined, I cut the legs, the pieces of the legs. The legs are made out of maple, which is the hardest wood of all the woods I was using. They take the most stress, the weight of the rider and the rocking motion of the horse. So you kind of block it together. I had gotten plans out of this book that I had and blocked it together, and then I had to glue the whole thing together with this West System epoxy glue. When you add the legs, when you join the legs onto the body of the horse, they are joined on in what's called a compound angle, and I would say that was probably the most difficult aspect of this horse, is getting those angles to fit right, because the legs are splayed a little bit, and so when the top of the leg joins on, it kind of sits above the lower block. So I had to shave that all down to the same height, and that's all pretty hard wood, so it was a lot of work to do it. So I had to glue the whole horse together with pipe clamps and glue before I could really work on the whole thing as a one piece of sculpture. I don't have a photo of that right now, but after I had it all joined together, I was able to carve it right down, and you can see all sides once it's all put together. So after I carved it down, I painted it with Kills wood stain, because that Spanish cedar is kind of a sappy, pitchy wood, and I wanted to kill as much of the stain coming through as possible. Covered it with gesso, and then I painted it with that was the most fun part. Then after you paint it, I applied the tail and the mane and I ordered up the saddle and the bridle from a rocking horse supply company, which you can find online. It had been a couple of years of spare time putting together this project, and I wanted it done before my son was too big to ride on it. Well, that wraps up the inaugural edition of the North Shore Arts Video Journal. Special thanks to Terry Canelli Aramo, John Caggiano, and Susan Gilbert Lee. We appreciate their sharing their studios and careers with us. I'm Kate Hanlon. Thanks for joining us.